They lie buried deep beneath the earth, invisible, obscure, and almost unknown to most of us. Yet, they make possible the most advanced technologies of our age. From the phone in your pocket to the fighter jet in your sky, they are the rare earth elements. 17 metals that silently power modern civilization. Without them, our digital, electric, and connected world would come to a halt. Namaskar and welcome to Sansad TV. I'm Rajiv Kumar Singh and you are watching History Behind Headlines. In this episode, we explore the world of rare earth elements, their significance, growing strategic importance, and the fierce global competition surrounding their control. Which nations hold the power levers in this crucial domain? Where does India stand in this high-stakes geopolitical contest? Let us begin our journey in pursuit of rare earths, the new geopolitical gold.
Today, nations fight not just for oil and gas, but these elements that hold the keys to the 21st century, to power, to technology, to dominance. In this program, we explore what rare earths are, why they matter, and how they have become the new currency of global power. We trace their story from the laboratories of the 18th century to modern Chinese factories, from the beaches of India's eastern coast to the corridors of Washington and Beijing. This is the story of the elements that power our world, the rare earths. The term rare earths refers to 17 metallic elements, the 15 lanthanides plus scandium and yttrium. Though chemically similar, each possesses unique magnetic, phosphorescent, and catalytic properties that make them indispensable to modern technology. They are used to make powerful magnets, high-efficiency batteries, lasers, camera lenses, missile guidance systems, and even nuclear reactors. Neodymium and praseodymium are used in high-strength magnets for electric vehicles. Dysprosium and terbium help those magnets function in extreme heat. Yttrium and europium give color to LED screens. Cerium and lanthanum refine crude oil and polish glass. These elements are not rare in quantity. Cerium, for example, is as abundant as copper, but they rarely occur in concentrated, mineable forms. They are scattered, mixed, and often found with radioactive elements like thorium and uranium, making extraction difficult, expensive, and environmentally hazardous. The name rare earth was first coined in the late 18th century when Swedish chemists isolated new oxides from rare minerals. Over the next century, scientists painstakingly identified one element after another, from yttrium discovered in 1794 to lutetium identified in 1907. For nearly 100 years, these elements were curiosities of interest to chemists, but of little industrial value. It was only in the mid-20th century, with electronics, nuclear energy and defense technologies, that their true worth was recognized. By the 1980s, as the digital revolution accelerated, rare earths quietly became the foundation of modern life. They are in the magnets that drive your car, in the screens that light your room, and in the satellites that guide your journey. Invisible, yet indispensable, the rare earths are the hidden architecture of the modern world. Rare earth elements are found across the globe, from the United States to Australia, from Brazil to India. Yet, mining and refining them is arduous. To extract just 1 kilogram of rare earth oxide, miners may need to process hundreds of kilograms of rock. The refining process uses strong acids and produces vast quantities of toxic waste. Most nations, alarmed by environmental costs, restricted or abandoned large-scale refining by the late 20th century. But one country took a different path: China.
China is the dominant player in RE processing, starting from the mining to final product processing. And today you can see that they are controlling almost 70% of the mining and more than 90% of the finished product. And today, world is looking for decarbonization in that electric vehicle or energy systems is coming. And that place permanent magnet and rare earth become important. And that's why this is the base region for the geopolitical situation, what is happening globally.
As Western nations prioritize environmental protection, Beijing saw opportunity. It invested in research, subsidized mining and refining, and built an integrated supply chain covering every step from ore extraction to high-value magnet manufacturing.
Power in the modern world doesn't always come from oil or steel. Sometimes it lies buried in obscure minerals with hidden might. While the world was still waking up to rare earths, China was already mining, refining, and stockpiling. By the early 2000s, China had become the unchallenged leader, supplying over 90% of the world's processed output.
In the early 2000s, China tightened its hold over these critical minerals. At the center stood Bayan Obo, a sprawling mine in Inner Mongolia. Once known for its iron ore, it evolved into the world's rare earth capital, producing more than the rest of the world combined. From here, China built not just an industry, but a strategic advantage, making the globe dependent on its supply chain. Every era has its empire, built on salt, coal, oil. The empire of our century is built on rare earths. China, more than any other nation, holds the crown. In the 1980s, Deng Xiaoping famously said, "The Middle East has oil. China has rare earths." It was not just a statement, it was a strategy. Through the 1990s and the 2000s, China offered low-cost loans, shielded domestic producers, and allowed lenient environmental norms designed to make it the global supplier of choice. As prices fell, mines in the US and elsewhere shut down. The world became dependent on Chinese exports. In 2010, after a diplomatic dispute with Japan, China restricted rare earth exports, sending global prices soaring by 700%. The world suddenly realized the cost of dependence. By 2020, with global demand for green technologies surging, rare earths became a cornerstone of economic security. China controlled not only mining but also the critical refining and magnet-making stages. According to the International Energy Agency, IEA, China today accounts for nearly 70% of global rare earth mining, over 90% of refining, and almost all high-end magnet manufacturing. In 2024, global demand grew by 6 to 8%, driven by energy transition. Between 2020 and 2023, nearly 70% of America's rare earth imports came from China. underscoring global dependence. In 2024, China exports of rare earth minerals rose by 6%, reaching 55,000 metric tons. Heavy rare earths, essential for high-performance magnets in electric motors, defense systems and clean energy, are most valuable. Demand for these magnets is projected to more than double by the next decade to 607,000 tons. The rare earth industry is booming, valued at $12.4 billion in 2024, expected to soar past $37 billion by 2033, growing nearly 13% annually. Signs of diversification are emerging. In May 2025, Linus Corporation in Malaysia produced commercial quantities of dysprosium oxide, a heavy rare earth once almost entirely processed in China, a crucial step toward balancing global supply. Rare earths may be invisible, but their power shapes technologies, economies, and geopolitics of the 21st century. China's dominance gives Beijing immense leverage, especially in trade rivalry with America. As tensions deepen over technology and defense, rare earths quietly became a diplomatic weapon, influencing supply chains, industries, and national security. Since Donald Trump's second term as President of the United States, trade tensions with China entered a new phase. Tariffs and sanctions met export restrictions. Rare earths became central to this tug of war. China introduced export controls on gallium, germanium, and heavy rare earths for semiconductors and missile systems. The message: Beijing would choke supply if Washington restricted Chinese tech firms. The US, dependent on imports for defense and electronics, scrambled for alternatives. Mountain Pass Mine in California was revived, and alliances with Australia, Japan, and the EU formed to diversify supply. The US and Japan signed a deal to secure critical minerals, which Trump hailed as a golden age in relations with Tokyo. Replicating China's dominance, however, is not going to be easy, even for the United States. Rare earth refining is as much art as science. China has decades of expertise.
Technology is changing very, very fast. With a newer technology, with a newer processing method, environmentally friendly methods, this is quite possible. That strategy has to be changed now. That if you go from the primary ore to the mining for that infrastructure, it may not work. But today, whole world is having lot of rare earth which is not being used, that is called as a secondary source. If we'll focus on recycling, if we'll focus on the secondary sources or tertiary sources, there is a possibility that at least 30 to 40% you can do in 5-year terms, and with a new technology you can go for 10 years term, because China has also put lot of efforts into that. So replacement is quite possible. And we, as a scientific community, technological community, we have to be positive and we have to be hopeful. Is it possible?
After his meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Busan, South Korea, Donald Trump had triumphantly told reporters about Air Force One that the rare earths dispute with China had been settled.
We have a deal. Now, every year we'll renegotiate the deal, but I think the deal will go on for a long time, long beyond the year. We'll negotiate at the end of the year, but all of the rare earth has been settled, and that's for the world. I mean, worldwide. This, I guess you could really say this was a worldwide situation, not just the U.S. situation. So we continue to produce the rare earths and buy the rare earths and everything else, when you see from other countries. But China is that whole situation that roadblock is gone now. There's no roadblock at all on rare earth. That will.
Only 2 days later, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent criticized China's decision to tighten control over rare earth exports, calling it a mistake that served a warning to everyone. So, where the latest agreements would actually lead remains anybody's guess. For the world, this is a new Cold War, fought with supply chains, patents, and rare metals. Control over these 17 elements defines strategic autonomy. It was once said, "He who controls the spice controls the universe." US analysts now often repeat, whoever controls rare earths controls the future of technology. The ongoing war between Ukraine and Russia is driven not only by territory and geopolitics, but increasingly by control of critical raw materials, including rare earth elements. Ukraine is thought to hold substantial deposits of strategically vital minerals in its eastern and southern regions, many of which lie within or near Russian-controlled zones. As Russia weighs future partnerships and resource deals, it has explicitly pointed to its own and Ukraine's rare earth reserves as bargaining tools in economic and diplomatic negotiations. Recognizing the risks of dependence, nations have begun forming strategic alliances for critical minerals. In 2022, the US, Japan, and Australia launched the Minerals Security Partnership (MSP), later joined by the EU, South Korea, and India. The goal: secure, responsible, sustainable sources of critical minerals, including rare earths. Australia's Linus Corporation remains the only significant non-Chinese producer of separated rare earths, supplying Japan and the US. The EU introduced its Critical Raw Materials Act, setting targets for local extraction, refining, and recycling. Across Africa and Latin America, countries rich in minerals like Tanzania, Malawi, and Brazil are being courted by both China and Western alliances.
Rare earths are no longer just a resource. They have become a currency of influence. Nations race not only to mine them, but to refine and control the technologies that turn these elements into power. In this new global order, the contest is about innovation as much as geology. For India, the challenge and opportunity are immense. Strategic foresight is key for India to become a rare earth player.
India may not yet be a rare earth powerhouse, but beneath its soil and sands lies immense potential. India's rare earth story is older than it seems. As early as the 1950s, India began separating rare earth oxides at IREL, Indian Rare Earths Limited, using beach sand minerals from Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Odisha. But the industry remained small, primarily exporting low-value raw oxides to Japan. Today, that is changing.
आज पूरा विश्व क्रिटिकल मिनरल को लेकर के बहुत ही सतर्क हो गया है। उसके सामर्थ्य को लोग भली भांति समझने लगे हैं। कल तक जिस तरफ ज्यादा ध्यान नहीं था, वो आज सेंटर स्टेज पे है। हमारे लिए भी क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स में आत्मनिर्भरता बहुत अनिवार्य है।
India holds nearly 8% of the world's rare earth reserves, a significant share globally. Recent surveys in Odisha and parts of Andhra Pradesh have identified new high-grade deposits. As of mid-2025, India estimates around 7.23 million tons of rare earth oxide locked in 13.15 million tons of monazite sands spread across Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, West Bengal, Jharkhand, Gujarat and Maharashtra. Additionally, 1.29 million tons are located in hard rock deposits in Gujarat and Rajasthan. Altogether, exploration projects report over 482 million tons of rare earth ore, a vast untapped resource base. India's principal source remains monazite, rich in rare earths and thorium, found mainly in beach and inland placer deposits. Yet, abundant reserves do not automatically translate into industrial power. India's rare earth production remains limited. Its share in global mining is minuscule. In fact, India has exported only 18 tons of rare earth minerals in the last decade, barely a ripple in global trade. Another gap lies in the downstream capability. India lacks large-scale facilities for making alloys, magnets and high-value components, leaving it dependent on imports for processed rare earth products. To harness India's potential, the Government of India launched the National Critical Mineral Mission in 2025, bringing 30 strategic minerals, including 24 classified under Part D of the first schedule of the Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act 1957, under its control, so that the central government has exclusive auction power.
एनर्जी का सेक्टर हो, इंडस्ट्री का सेक्टर हो, रक्षा क्षेत्र हो, टेक्नोलॉजी के हर क्षेत्र हो, आज क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स की टेक्नोलॉजी के अंदर बहुत अहम भूमिका है और इसलिए नेशनल क्रिटिकल मिशन हमने लॉन्च किया है। 1200 से अधिक स्थानों पर खोज का अभियान चल रहा है और हम क्रिटिकल मिनरल में भी आत्मनिर्भर बनने की दिशा में आगे बढ़ रहे हैं।
For the first time, private players can participate in exploration and mining of non-atomic minerals, breaking the long monopoly of state-run enterprises. This is a shift from export dependency to value creation. The goal is not just to mine rare earths, but to refine, process and manufacture, to build the magnets, batteries and clean technologies the world demands. Amid growing global uncertainty, especially after China's export restrictions, India has begun steps to de-risk its supply chain. Policy initiatives focus on building a domestic magnet manufacturing base and expanding REE processing capacity, cutting import dependence and capturing more value within India. India has begun collaborating with Japan and Australia to share refining expertise. The Ministry of Mines has entered into bilateral agreements with the governments of a number of countries such as Australia, Argentina, Zambia, Peru, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Malawi, Cote d'Ivoire or Ivory Coast, and international organizations such as International Energy Agency (IEA). Pilot plants in Odisha and Tamil Nadu are testing environmentally safer extraction methods. Scientists are also exploring urban mining, recovering rare earths from electronic waste, where India generates over 3 million tons annually. The policy aligns with India's broader goals: power the EV transition, strengthen defense manufacturing, reduce reliance on foreign technology. India's rare earth ambitions also carry a moral dimension: to develop sustainably, avoiding environmental disasters seen elsewhere. With rich deposits along coasts and monazite sands, India could be more than a raw material supplier. The real question: can India build processing strength, technological edge, and strategic foresight to become a key player in the rare earth economy of tomorrow?
In India, we have the basic expertise, we have the capacity. As a positive outlet, we have a good quality human resource. We can build capacity onto that. And latest, you can see our Ministry of Mines has announced the National Critical Mineral Mission. And in the National Critical Mission, that all institutions, whether it is IITs or NITs, or the CSIR or other laboratories across the country has come. 7 Center for Excellence has been announced, and that place emphasis is on how to scale up the technology, and more interdisciplinary approach is required. And so we can integrate. It will take a little bit time, but with focused infrastructure development.
Global dependence on rare earths is set to multiply. By 2040, demand could triple, driven by electric mobility, renewable energy, and advanced electronics. This race is about possession, control, refinement, and innovation. Whoever dominates processing and magnet industries holds true power. In this race, India stands at a crossroads. The reserves are rich, its talent pool deep, and technological partnership expanding. But to lead, India must invest in research, sustainability, and skill, turning potential into power. Rare earths may be hidden underground, but their impact reaches space, from satellites orbiting above to AI chips below. They are the connective tissue of the modern economy, linking raw nature to refined innovation. They may not glitter like gold or gush like petroleum, yet they are the true fuel of our civilization.
As nations scramble to control these elements, the struggle for rare earths mirrors the struggle for dominance itself, between old powers and new, between dependency and independence. India's journey is just beginning. From the sands of Odisha to the laboratories of Bengaluru, a new industrial frontier is taking shape, one that could redefine strategic strength for generations. The elements beneath our feet are shaping the destiny above our heads. They are silent, unseen, but unstoppable. The true oil of the 21st century. That is all we have in this program. Thanks for watching.